Welcome to Pxlflx Spotlight, where we showcase some of our favorite pixel artists and 8-bit crafting enthusiasts.
And today on our third episode, we welcome our first almost exclusively digital artist and animator, Ryan Hooley AKA Pxlflx.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
What would you say is your favorite video game of all time?
My favorite game, that's a really tough one. It's really almost impossible for me to answer because there's so many games that I, hold in high regard, and I like them all for different reasons. And more recently, I like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. But I mean, kind of see them all as an evolution from things that have come before. So, there's pixel art things like Metal Slug 3. I think that's one of the best examples of pixel art animation that's influenced me. But like before that, you've had games like the original Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Can't go wrong with Mario. But yeah, I feel that's going to be a pretty common answer on this show.
And The Legend of Zelda, I think those were probably the best examples of something that pushed forward the whole video game genre forward. Before that, you had like Pitfall and things like that, where it was just a stick figure kind of, and the play control was horrible, and it was basically unplayable. But the Super Mario Brothers really took it up like another level, and it made it very playable. And you had this little character where you had his mustache and nose and hat and overalls, and yeah, I think that's something. It's kind of a mainstay with me that I always kind of go back to.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. Where the River City Ransom fans at? That's what I'm wondering.
We're sitting right here.
So hey, Pxlflx, what's the favorite project that you've ever worked on?
Well, probably my favorite project that I've ever worked on was probably also the one that took the longest to complete, was the Marvel Pixel Battles for Marvel Entertainment. Worked on that for over a year and a half. I did about 12 animations, I think it was, for them, but each one of those had multiple animations within it, and it was basically a matchup between a hero and a villain, or two heroes or two villains, every month. And Marvel would put it up on their social medias, and they'd first have an animation of just kind of an idle fighting game style of them, the characters, and they would have them say who would win, and the people on social media would then vote for it, like on Instagram, Facebook. I think most of the votes were actually tallied on Facebook and Twitter, and then whoever won, then there was a winning animation that they would post at the end of the month, and it would show kind of a short fight. And it was a lot of work, but it was kind of something I always kind of wanted to do, something like that. And there's things I wish I would have done differently now that I've looked back on it, but it was definitely a very memorable project for me, and I'm glad I did it.
So we predominantly make perler art, but we're gradually getting more and more into straight pixel art. This character I'm speaking from right now is actually one of these creations.
Brad, you're ruining the illusion.
Sorry, fourth wall breaking. My question was, what inspired you to start making pixel art?
Well, let's see, probably about 8 years ago, I started working on some video game stuff for just personal projects, and the programs that I was using at the time kind of had limits on what you could do with it. You could only do things in certain sizes. It was kind of for making flash games and whatnot. And I wanted to do I wasn't using pixel art at all at that point, so I wasn't familiar with it. And a lot of what I did was more cartoony kind of artwork, and it just wasn't scaling right to that size. So I was like, well, how do I make this, clean looking? Because I'm always wanting to make things as clean looking as I could. So I had to that forced me to move down to this size art, pixel art. And it was the first time that I picked up the pencil tool in Photoshop, and I never really quite knew what that was for. It never seemed like something I never really wanted to use. I was always using the paintbrush or, things of that nature. And so then I was like, all right, now that I've gotten, super small and I'm getting down to the pixel art, that's what really kind of forced me to get into it. And it kind of just went from there. I started working on my first video game, and that's kind of where I started learning how to do the basic, art for it and the animation, the assets. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
Okay, so for the benefit of the viewers at home, could you let us in on some of the programs you use to create pixel art?
Mostly on the older computer that I have, that I do most of my pixel art on, is Photoshop CS5. It's an older version of it because I just have an old Mac and I've never updated it. But I also use the newer Creative Cloud versions of Photoshop. But I've used other pixel art programs as well, but that's kind of my mainstay. That's the one I always use is, just Adobe Photoshop for pixel art and animations, and that's pretty much what I use for everything.
I don't know what you can divulge, but what's in store for the future?
Well, I don't know. I'm always staying busy, always working on a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff I've been working on lately I can't really talk about because I've had to sign like NDAs and whatnot, but I've done some stuff for some clothing companies, some gaming companies, and other stuff headed on the way. For personal projects, I have just some fan art stuff that I'm going to keep on doing on Instagram, and I also want to do a lot more original work. I've been wanting to move towards doing a lot more of that recently. I have had working on some role-playing game stuff, which I'm pretty excited about. I think that's going to be something that's going to be pretty cool, so be on the lookout for that.
And that's all the time we have. So thank you for being on our show.
Thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
So until next time on Pxlflx Spotlight.